It's 3:45 in the afternoon. It's in the mid-40s out there. Don's going for his run. I'm headed to Guardian Angel. I just finished a 5-ish hour marathon editing session on the Glass Station and Lake Myra video. Don had his headphones on and was watching yesterday's and today's playoff games, and I was pretty busy listening to the video content. So I'm just gonna go for a ride, play my Pokemon, check out Guardian Angel. Johnny will be home around 5-ish. I've got a nice piece of pork to cook in the Instant Pot tonight, and it's a slowish day. I will not be taking 600 plus videos and photos today. Well, even the ice house is festive. So Christmas is marked 50% off today. I found this $7 wreath, so it should be $3.50. It's a really nice wreath, and I want to put it on the green room window overlooking the driveway. Well, I stayed in Guardian Angel till right at 5 o'clock. I was checked out and headed out the door. They were all anxious to go home. And Johnny arrived just a few minutes ago, and I'm gonna pull Ruby in for the night. So we're watching Casey Green's latest video, and he just said something a minute ago about construction cones. You know, yep, there's construction cones.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you know, we can see them.
Right.
Who cares if I mean, do we need to know the car sees them? But there's people out there that are like autopilot. They don't buy into it.
Right.
So I think Tesla can prove a little more to those naysayers, right, because they're putting this graphic up to say, hey, autopilot is this smart. I don't know that it's for me, for my benefit personally, driving Ruby, well, whenever I would be able to see them or at the right hardware release. But
right, but it's important that the car be able to recognize these traffic cones, because normally that means that the normal traffic lane there's some type of abnormality
yeah,
to the traffic
say that fast 3 times, Donnie.
That required cones, and the car is going to, and the drivers are going to have to do some additional, you know, sort of gives a permission for you to squeeze over sometimes and things like that, you know, yeah, the lanes change. So yeah, I think it's very important that the car detect traffic cones.
Right. I just, as far as me seeing it on the screen, you know, the little icon for the traffic cone, I don't know. But like I said, people that don't know, right, are not believing that autopilot's doing a good job. It's kind of proof.
Right. It's just
like
it's
sort of proof. It's selling it.
It shows pedestrians. It shows people.
Motorcycles.
It shows a truck versus an SUV. It shows motorcycles versus a car.
Yep.
The fact that the AI is accurately detecting what those are and then showing an image of them.
Yep.
I think that's a very positive feedback mechanism, as you said, to let people know it's not guessing. It knows that's a traffic cone. It knows that's a pedestrian.
Yep, exactly.
And so I think it's a step on the path to autonomy.
So Casey's making me and Don think about several things, and I'm going to go on record as saying that I am more concerned about being rear-ended while on autopilot or traffic-aware cruise control than I am about rear-ending someone else. I am no longer in any way, shape, or form worried about the Tesla stopping for something in front of it, even though, you know, those old headlines about hitting a fire truck or whatever, not worried about it. She stops every time. I mean, I'm still watching, but she stops.
Right. I totally agree that the activity happening in front of the car, Tesla has improved that leaps and bounds to the point where they're very close. But having drove it to Charlotte this week and then drove it last night down to Farmville, I would tell you it's still lacking in the rearward view. Several times Ruby was changing lanes and basically wanted to get right in front of somebody who was zooming up on her. In other words, the fact that the car was, because I was doing 75, so God knows how fast, I mean, I was already 5 over. The car coming up on me was doing 85. I mean, can't kind of blame Ruby there. She didn't know it, but the cars are closing so fast that the maneuver she's making is wrong. In other words, she needs to kind of look and be able to observe how fast the cars are closing from the rear. Like Marianne said, the car, you know, it's great that Ruby's slamming on her brakes and stopping really fast, except for the car in the rear isn't trying to stop right now. So it might be good for Ruby to calculate, I have enough stopping distance, maybe I'll come off of that emergency braking and let up a little bit, so maybe I'll flash my tail lights or something, make that person up behind me, you know, hit your brakes, people. You know, I'm telling you, we are in the fixing to be the most dangerous time for autonomous driving. And that's where autonomous cars, I mean, like Tesla's full autonomy, where there's one autonomous car for every 5 million non-autonomous cars on the road. And so that nobody else on earth is going to understand that it's an autonomous car that's doing the lane change. Because I've told Marianne several times, I know guys think I'm an idiot because the way Ruby came over. It was safe, but it's just not something a human would have done.
Right, well, it's all well and good that Ruby can see underneath the car in front of her and detect that the car in front of that car is braking hard and brake. But that doesn't help the poor guy behind you that's still driving on his own to slow up.
Right.
So I am constantly, and I've talked to Johnny about this as a new driver, it's like every time you put your foot on the brake, you better be checking what's happening behind you. You gotta, and you know, we've all done one of those hard avoid the person in front of us stops.
Right.
All of us experienced drivers have done a faster or harder brake than we would have preferred. But while you're doing that, you're looking behind you to see if the guy behind you is going to hit you and trying to decide if you need to swerve off off into the shoulder. Right. You're trying to leave them enough room and stop in time. As a human, you're looking both ways. You're like really having to make a judgment call there.
Right.
Try not to get sandwiched. You know, do your best to not get sandwiched. And it's difficult for a human. Yeah. And it's even more difficult, I think, for the AI.
I think it has to do with the rearward facing cameras aren't where they need to be, and there's no radar looking backwards. I think, you know, time will tell if Elon can pull that off, but I think...
Yeah, we're not promoting LiDAR, but we might want an extra camera or some sort of another sensor facing backward.
Well, something.
A little bit more protection on the backside of the Tesla.
I guess I would like Elon to talk a little bit about how he plans to handle
those edge cases.
That particular edge case. I mean, he's talked about flying boats and things like this. So how are you going to handle this very common thing where traffic is closing so quickly that, you know, because she did it once and everything she did was safe, but she got over and the car was closing so fast that she got back into the lane. That's in my opinion, the fact that she got over and then had to abort meant that she wasn't able to see far enough back to tell that this car was zooming up. She looked, or it was clear when she started moving over, and then about the time she basically was crossing lanes, she realized, oh my God, there's a car there. Because they were closing speed so quickly. And so she had to snatch it back. And maybe that's the way it will always be, but that's very disconcerting as a human, because, you know, I see the car, Ruby, now. It's not because I have canceled the lane change many times.
A couple of times, yeah. I just mean, a couple times over last night's drive.
Times, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess time will tell when we get the 3.0 chip.
Right.
Whether or not that speeds up the lane changing even a notch more than this latest update that speeded it up.
Right.
Whether that helps the situations you're talking about where she's not moving fast enough still. You know, she checks it's okay, and then she seems, I would think it was a new driver checking 5 more times after the first check to decide it's really safe to do that, and then you've waited so long that it's not safe anymore.
That's right.
That's how she acts
That's
to me.
right. I would agree.
So maybe the 3.0 chip, but Don and I haven't gotten to drive on autopilot at all, any length of distance on a 3.0 chip to know
Yeah, I have no idea.
whether or not that's enough new help or not. So we'll know. We'll let you know when Ruby gets up retrofitted for that.
Right.
But right now we can't tell.
Nope. No idea.
So it's a Brussels sprouts and Boston butt with some pork gravy.
Yeah, baby.
It's that kind of a night.
Yum.